Brought to you by Curious Marineland. So in the past, I've done a video on what I call the evolutionary phone tree. And what I want to do is show you some of the examples we've seen from this year. And if you're curious about my previous video, I'll go and show you that. I'm going to mute it and just play some parts of it. So this is a turn. So as you can see, what's going on is I've got this handout, and I'm going to show that on the actual Word doc that's in there. And in this video, I go over how to set it up. I go over some of the handouts, and then there's actually some video of me giving directions to students, and then at the end of it, I go over results, like so. So you can hear the students in the background when we look at this. So what I want to do is show you some of the ones from this year. So that was just a couple of years ago. I want to add in some extra ideas about what's going on. So I'm going to just stop that video and go back to my PowerPoint. One of the things that I want to be able to show with my students is in the original directions, this is in the description of the video. Can you show divergence with little stick figures? The actual cards, it's relatively cheap. All you need is some index cards and a starter set like I have here. And you can go, if you want to go over the directions on how to do that, you can watch the video. But what I want to show is some of the concepts that you can see. You might be able to talk with your students about, well, is this adaptation? What is this showing evolution or is it not? Is this showing speciation or not? And one of the things that I've seen over the years is we end up talking about, well, okay, let's look at the traits. How are they different from their original source to, say, 5 generations later? One of the things that we obviously show is adaptations. We say, oh, well, how do they use that structure? All right, and we ask homologous structures and convergent and divergent evolution are things that are often mentioned. Sometimes this comes up. Did they lose a function? Can you show adaptive radiation? And this year I have an example, which is why I decided to make this video. So one of the things the students will see is, can we point out a point of divergence? Not convergent, divergent, because the common ancestors that might become different. Other aspects you can use in this study, when you talk about divergence, is speciation. Did it happen? And this is how you can talk to your students. Well, at what point is speciation? You can review the basic steps of speciation, which is a reaction to the environment. Most likely, that's always the driving force as organisms adapt to the change in their environment. Remember, evolution does not affect individuals. Individuals exist in nature. Evolution affects populations. So, and could you see this? Do you see stable? And in this video, you're going to see the results that show a rapid change and then stability. We'll probably try and even be able to show this. And this is what I saw this year, which was really intriguing. So that's why I wanted to do this video. So I'm just going to go over and wrap up by showing you some of the examples from this year. So I'm going to go over to my little camera here. All right, and yeah. So first, here's the standard cards. I usually make it like a pink card, and then after 4 generations, I only show the last one, but I saw something unique this year. So here's my A. You can't really see a major difference with them. Maybe size. They're almost always smaller because a lot of times the students are going fast. Because when I have them rotate from group 1 to 2 to 3, I change up the time. And then I tell group 1, take your card back, and they have to go by memory, which adds to the whole phone tree part. So that was A after several generations. This is B. Here's the original. Now, another reason I'm going to show some of this is because some kids got creative. I should warn you, if you're a teacher and you want to do this, you can only really do this one time, because after a while, kids will intentionally do things like this. So this, and so have a conversation with the students. Well, look at its antennae. Its arms are going much longer, and start saying, well, what adaptation, what environment are they going to be able to live in with that? So that's B. I'm going to go ahead and show C. So here's C. One of the things, well, here's the thing with C this year. They usually get smaller in size, but if you were to zoom in, the students are like, it's got a unibrow. And a lot of the things I'm telling you right now is what my students told me this year. And they said, well, it looks like it doesn't have a mouth. I don't know. What type of adaptation is that? Is that evolution? Is that sci-fi? But the original organism and what the fossil record will show the current organism. The genes are still there. Maybe this, if I can go back, maybe this is actually, the mouth is now a vestigial structure, so you could bring that in. And the original handout at the top, and this is in the description of the original video, these are all concepts that we try to see if we can address just by showing up and seeing what we get. So go back to this one. So that was C. I did get another interesting one with C. This one. So definitely looks more human. And then I actually had, I was going to show this at the end, but I'll go ahead and show it now. You know what? I'll show that later. There's one more C that was interesting. But I want to show F and E for a specific reason. So here's the original F. And here's after 4 generations. So when we do things like this, it's like, okay, let's zoom out and see what's going on. So I asked for the kids to give me their cards, every single one. So let's do this. Here's F1. Not much change, smaller. F2. And we had a conversation. We talked about each little thing that we saw that might be different. So it got smaller, like the big woolly mammoths to elephants or smaller organisms today. That is a pattern. Organisms are smaller. Look how much smaller it is. As a fact, some of the kids said, well, maybe it doesn't fly anymore. And I said, well, think about a penguin. Or the flightless birds that are much larger, like an ostrich or an emu, but this is smaller, but it's going to be swimming through the water. It's adaptation to survive and reproduce. The genes for flying are there. There's atavistic genes, so to speak, but they're there. So the last one I want to mention, which really intrigued me, goes with the whole aspect of punctuated equilibrium. Stable and that. Now let's actually see if we can build something. So here's where I want to show E. When I say E, these are my little cards. I'm going to go back to, I have to shrink it down a little. So let's get E out of the way. So here's E. Here's E from one class. Not much change. Now, I want to show you E from a different class. The kids were really thought this was hilarious. It's like drastic change. But that's where I like, all right, let me go ahead and grab all the other ones. And let's see if we recognize when there was a major change. Because here is the first one. Not much change. Not much change. All right? Yes, it's lost its feet are slightly different. So maybe this is climbing in snow and this is now coming down from the mountains. Those are all the speculations. Is that what evolution is? Evolution can drive those things. Evolution is a natural process. It's a random process. It's not an entity that says, oh, you must change. All right, so that's the first one. Now I'll take a wild guess. Look at the second one. So now what I want to do is do it like this. I'm going to zoom back out. Because when the students saw the last one, they saw this. But the fossil record with this particular organism is going to be, let's move this here. So this, we see it first, they drew this, and then I'm almost like I'm creating a split. A divergence. And that's pretty cool when you think about it. Just a simple card with these exercises to help you see how. Now let's look at this. Let's say these are still interacting and they're not extinct. And if they can no longer interbreed, we now say we have speciation. Speciation is so we can trace this one is closest to the original source of genes, and this one is farthest. All right, pretty cool. Brought to you by Curious Maryland.